Well, after all the excitement of a parliamentary by-election last week up in Gorton and Denton, we're back to basics. We've got a nice crop of 5 local council by-elections to get into this week, which is good. We've been a bit slim pickings in the early months of this year, with only having 1 or 2 each week. But this week we've got a nice amount to get into. And I forgot to preview these last week, again, in all the excitement of a parliamentary by-election. Forgot to preview these at the end of the video last week, so I do apologise for that. Interestingly, and this is just, I'm just noticing, I do these videos for fun, so the amount of views and stuff that I get is not all that important to me, but it's interesting that the Gorton and Denton by-election review roundup video last week didn't do very well compared to what these Friday videos normally do. A week on, it's only got 3,000 views. So I'm interested to hear, if you're watching this, did you watch that video and did it appear in your YouTube feed? Interested to know. I've noticed in the year or so that I've been doing this that, frankly, if I don't have Reform in the title or Nigel Farage on the thumbnail, surprise, surprise, that's the case today, or they are on it today, the video doesn't tend to do very well. So let me know if you did see the video or not. I'll leave a link to it. You can go and watch it from last week as well if you want to, because there is actually a really important bit in that video about the integrity of our elections. So if you haven't watched it, please do go and watch it just for that bit alone. It's yeah, it'd be good to if you guys see that. Anyway, enough waffling. We'll get into this week's by-election roundup. So, look, a good night for Reform again in the main, but there was one interesting result we'll get into here. Coggeshall in Braintree is where we're going to start off. So over in Essex, and this was an independent defence from 2023, and Reform have won here. Not surprising. Essex, I think, is a pretty strong part of the country for the Reform Party these days. Obviously, county council election will be happening in Essex in May as well, so that's going to be an interesting one to watch. And they got just under 31% of the votes. So look, again, a very low vote share to be winning with, but as I seem to say each week, it's not particularly novel these days. This is quite common to see these parties winning on 30, if not even into the high 20s%. So low vote share to win with. They just pipped the independent, who obviously it was an independent who stood down, and this one wasn't quite able to get back in. They lost 25 points off of their vote share, which pretty much has all gone to Reform there. Labour in third place, they're actually up 4 points, which is interesting. And again, the next one's going to be very interesting in terms of Labour. But up 4 points, so yeah, look, unusual to see Labour's vote share going in that direction. And the Conservatives were down, again, 12 points. I mean, we're 3 months into the year now. At the start of this year, there was a lot of excitement online. You know, I'm on X. I follow a lot of people on X, and there was a lot of excitement about the Conservatives. They were up maybe +1, +2 in polls for a few weeks. But it's just not happening, is it? This Conservative rebound, it's just not really manifesting itself in real elections. Every week we're seeing the Tories down double digits, so it's not looking good at the moment, is it, for them? But yeah, a win for Reform then, a slender majority, only 37 votes in it, which is a 2.1% percentage point gap. So yeah, they snuck over the line in this one. 37% turnout though is actually very impressive for a local council by-election, so that's good work from the good people of Coggeshall there. So this one's very interesting. Merton Ward in Durham, and Reform are defending. This is one of the County Durham seats that was up for election last May. And Reform have lost to Labour. It's a Labour gain, and I can say it's the first time Labour have gained a seat since the local elections last year. So what has gone on here? Well, look, Labour got a very impressive 50.6% of the vote, up 17 points. Yes, up 17 points. Meanwhile, Reform, look, they didn't have a bad showing, really. They were down 4.5 points, which is kind of on the limit of what I say is neither here nor there. I think up to 5-point decline in these by-elections is not really all that meaningful. In my opinion, I think once you get over 5 points, then it looks more like a structural voter shift. But up to 5 points is kind of, or +5 as well, either direction, I think is kind of minimal impact. So Reform didn't necessarily have a bad showing compared to what they did in May last year, but Labour have just come and surged through to get over 50% of the vote. Now, I think what has happened here is that the independent last time, or there was an independent that stood last time in May last year, they got 13% of the vote, and it seems as though didn't stand this time, and it seems as though all of that vote has just gone straight to Labour. So, look, I don't know who that independent was, don't know what their policies were, but I assume more of the left-wing variety, or sort of Labour wings variety, and those voters have just gone to Labour this time. So yeah, look, a good result for Labour. They'll be, I'm sure, thrilled to have gained one. Is this a turnaround? Is this Starmer back? Well, I think the other results tonight will show us that's probably not the case. But we'll keep an eye on it, of course. But I don't think this is a resurrection for Keir Starmer's Labour. No, but they won with 11 points, which is fairly comfortable. 218 votes in it. Turnout here was 25%, so kind of poor a bit further down on that. We've sort of been averaging 30%, haven't we, on these? So not great in terms of turnout. So Labour win in Durham. There you go. This is also, before I move on, this is, I think, the second seat that Reform have lost in Durham now. I believe they lost one last year to the Liberal Democrats. So look, they still have a big majority in Durham, but yeah, they are losing some seats there. Okay, Hextable ward in Sevenoaks, so over in Kent now, and this was an independent defence again, and this time the Conservatives have won. They've got a gain. So both main parties who have been in the trenches, so to speak, they both got something to smile about this week. The Conservatives then actually increased by 19 points in this one, so a very impressive boost to their score, because they've pretty much come down from they have come down from less than 20% there to win with 38.9% of the vote. So that is a good showing for the Conservative Party. I have to admit, if I had been previewing this last week, I probably would have said Liberal Democrats or Greens for this one, actually. The Greens are pretty good in areas around Sevenoaks in Kent, if I remember rightly. But no, look, no independent. Oh, sorry, there was an independent, different independent, obviously, from the last one. The last one got 80% of the vote. So this one would have been very, very difficult to call. And last time out, it was just the two of them. It was the independents, or the independent got 80%, and the Tory got 19.6%. So it was just a straight shootout. Clearly a very, very popular independent councillor there in Hextable. I assume big personal vote to get 80% of the votes, and obviously this other independent not quite of the same stature. So I thought, sorry, just mid video here, I've just taken a bit of a break and I thought I should do some research. This has been a Conservative ward in the past. In the more recent years, it has been two independents being elected for this ward. Look, so one of them has retired or potentially passed away. I don't know what the situation is here. And the Conservatives essentially won back some old territory. So that is good news for the Conservatives. I'm not saying it's signs of a comeback, but this is traditionally more Conservative voting territory, and they have won this pretty convincingly. So that's good news for the Tories to win back this one from the independents. Reform came in second place, straight up into 26.3% of the vote, which is good for them. Like I say, I would have probably backed Liberal Democrat or Green for this one if I'd been previewing it, if I'm being honest. So the Liberal Democrats came in and got 23.8% of the vote. The Greens were nowhere near. They were way down on 4%, finishing in last position. Majority of 12 points over Reform for the Tories is pretty comfortable, and a very, very good turnout of 47%. So look, we are seeing these turnouts just starting to edge up a bit, which is very, very good. We need to see more of this. If you have by-elections that happen in your area, make sure you do go out and vote. And then, next one up is Thrupp in Stroud. So this was a Green defence, and it's a Green hold. Very convincing. I think I would have probably gone for this. I would have plugged for the Greens on this one. They haven't really changed their vote share. Like I say, within that 5 points, I don't really see it as being all that significant, but they are up to just under 68% of the vote, which is, a very commanding lead. So there's not really much point looking at the others. But it is interesting that Reform again finished in second place. So this is another ward where neither of the main parties, or any of the main parties, if you want to include the Liberal Democrats in that, finish in the top two. Greens runaway winners, and Reform quite clearly second place. Not close. They're a good 10 points ahead of the Tories here. So Reform got 16.5% of the vote. The Tories down again 10, so down double digits again to 10 points in third place, and Labour just behind them, just less than 6 votes, also down double digits to just under 6% of the vote as well. So yeah, look, Greens are going to have a very good May. They've got the wind in their sails after Gorton and Denton last week, which is absolutely the shot that I think they needed, just to carry. Last year I said, as we got close to May, Reform was starting to win more and more of these by-elections, and I was saying this is the momentum they need to carry them into the local elections, and then they need to capitalise on that in the election. And the same thing is for the Greens this year. The Greens need to, have more good results in these by-elections in the coming weeks up to May the 7th. And then on May the 7th, they have to go and capitalise on the momentum that they've got. That's what they need to do. And for Reform this year, it's a bit different because, of course, they're going into it really as the favourites. Everyone's expecting them to be the headline grabbers again. Can they live up to that bidding? That's the interesting thing. No turnout percentage on this one, unfortunately, and I don't have the numbers to know what the percentage is, but 800 people turned out to vote in Stroud. It was a very comfortable majority, obviously, for the Greens, 408, and they got 51%. 51 point margin of victory, so very, very comfortable. Lastly, we started with a Reform gain and we'll finish with another one. So Labour defending, and Reform have gained one off of them here in Spittal in Tamworth. And this is one of the councils that is up for election in May as well. So this is an interesting one to look at. Reform came in, they've gone straight up to 43.6% of the vote. So this is a very, very good performance for Reform, a very strong showing. Look, we said earlier that it's not uncommon these days to have these by-elections being won on 30% or less of the vote, but then every now and again you do get one of these where it's much more commanding, and indeed like the last one as well. So a big loss for Labour. They were down 23.3 points. Again, remember, I'm going off the my prediction going into the local elections in May 2026 is that Labour will lose on average about 20 points in the wards that they're defending. But there will be others much higher than that. That's the average. And like I said, in recent weeks, we might have to up that average slightly. But they're down 23 points here in Spittal, Tamworth. So another bad loss for Labour. The Conservatives, again, also down 19 points. Again, this is what I mean. Good result for them in Sevenoaks, don't get me wrong. But on the whole, taking the big picture, it's not looking good, is it, for the Tories, really, if we're being honest with ourselves. They did finish ahead of Labour, though. So, Labour in third place in a ward that they were defending. Oh, no, sorry, beg your pardon. Labour are last, actually. Sorry, I've just missed the Greens there at the end, who came straight in at 20%. So, and again, another one with no Labour or Tory in the top two. This is starting to happen more often, where neither of the Red or Blues are in the top two, and here they've been relegated to third and fourth. Yeah, this is the two-party system crumbling around us, basically. And well, I say that. I have said that before. I don't think the two-party system will collapse or end. I think first past the post demands a two-party system, mostly, or two main parties and then some satellite ones, like the Liberal Democrats. Because of how the system works, we are not designed for coalition government. Sometimes it's a matter of necessity, but it's not something that we should do regularly. I am in favour of first past the post personally, and so what we're going to see is not the end of the two-party system, but the establishment of a new one. And Reform have clearly set out their stall to be one of those parties, and I think it's who's going to take up the other side. Is it going to be the Liberal Democrats? Is it going to be the Greens? And I have to say, at the moment, although I think they're still a smaller party than the Liberal Democrats. I might be wrong, actually. Someone get in the comments, let me know. The Greens, have they got more members than the Lib Dems or not? I can't actually remember. But either way, I think the Greens are laying a claim to that sort of mantle more than the Lib Dems are. Now, you can argue that we call it a two-party system, but it is more of a three-party. I mean, the Liberal Democrats have always been sort of, a main party, but they've never been close to government in their own right. Obviously, they were in coalition in 2010 to 15, but they were nowhere near having their own majority. So, yeah, look, at the moment, I see the Greens are very much laying down their gauntlet to be the opposition, the other end of the spectrum to Reform. And look, I think actually, I as any of you know who watch the sorry, I'm waffling now, but for any of you who watch the channel know I'm not a big Green supporter at all. But in some ways, I think it could be healthy for a period of time, because you'd have two parties that are irreconcilably different. They are at different ends of the spectrum. I'm talking about Reform and the Greens here. They are very much opposites, and I think that's a good thing. I think the problem that a lot of people have with politics is that they found the other two parties, Labour and the Tories, were just too similar, two sides of the same coin, the same policies with a different rosette on, and that would not be the case with the Greens and Reform. Now, look, I'm being a little bit preemptive saying this. I think the Greens have still got a long way to go, but the polls do show them catching up to Labour and the Tories. And like I say, I just think at the moment they are laying down the best case to be that other side of the coin, that other end of the spectrum, I should say, to reform. So let's see what happens. That's my take on it. I think the two-party system won't end. I think it's necessary in our democratic system that we have in the UK. Reform is going to be at one end of it. Who's going to be at the other end? I think at the moment the Greens are making a case. And that's it for this week. Sorry, I didn't go through this bit, did I? So Reform won by 382 votes, 23-point margin of victory, which is very much safe. And again, unfortunately, I haven't got a turnout figure there for Tamworth. So if you know it, please do. And for Stroud as well, if you know those turnout figures in percentages, please do put them in the comments. And if somebody does put them there, I'll pin the comments so that we all see them. Very good. So that was this week's by-election. Sorry, I've gone on for a little bit longer there. Went on a little bit of a tangent. But we'll now go and have a look at next week's by-elections. All right, then, I'm very happy to say we've got another 5 next week to look forward to. So we're going to start in the Beaches in Cotswold. Liberal Democrats are defending, and I think the Liberal Democrats will win here. 55.5% of the vote. Let's keep an eye on the Greens. The Greens are pretty strong in the Cotswolds, I believe. They got 10% last time out 3 years ago. Let's see if they can improve to challenge the Liberal Democrats at all. And let's keep an eye on that Tory number. You know, like I said, they had a good result in Sevenoaks this week, but all the other results for them really were quite poor. Pretty steep declines in their vote share. So, you know, I think the jury's still out on the Tories. I mean, I'm standing by the fact that I think they're basically finished. But let's see. If there is some semblance of a comeback, it's got to come soon, because if they don't have some momentum and some boost going into May, then I think May, the local elections, and indeed the national elections in Scotland and Wales are going to be a bloodbath for them. So if it is going to happen, it needs to happen pretty soon so they can have a good run going into those elections. Obviously, Reform are standing. Let's see what happens. Maybe they come second again, but I expect this to be more of a Lib Dem versus Green battle, but who knows? And by the way, if you guys live or have specific knowledge of any of these places in either these preview ones for next week or the ones we've already looked at, please do get in the comments. Let us know. It's because I find your takes always are very, very much very interesting and very insightful. We've also got Aigburth Ward in Liverpool. So again, another Liberal Democrat defence up in the north east. And Liberal Democrats here, they got 50% of the vote last time. Labour on second on 31.9%. Let's see what happens to that Labour vote. This is a place where I might expect to see that Labour vote get cannibalised almost entirely by the Green Party. So can the Greens, again, can they challenge the Liberal Democrats there? I would back the Liberal Democrats to win, I think. They've got a pretty healthy share of the vote to defend. Like I say, it really depends, I think, on if the Greens can really basically eat up all that Labour vote, then they might have a chance. Reform again standing. Look, I wouldn't expect Reform to win in Liverpool, but then again, I remember last year saying I didn't expect Reform to win in St Helens, and then they did. So who knows? But considering it's a Liberal Democrat defence, I don't think Reform will win here. But again, it's just very interesting, very instructive, just to see where they place in that list of candidates that's going to be on the ballot. We've got Sleaford, Westholme Ward, North Kesteven. This is an interesting one. So it's a local party defending. They got 29.5% of the vote last time out. So again, another one of these that's been won previously, and this was 3 years ago, on less than 30% of the vote. So this one is there for the taking. Interesting that it was only Labour of the main parties to stand here, which is interesting. And no Conservative stood last time, which is interesting for Lincolnshire, which traditionally is a Conservative stronghold. So interesting that they went on the ballot paper. But yeah, look, you can see it was very, very even between the localists. They got 29.5, Independent got 29.3, so a very slender margin of victory. Another Independent got 18 and Labour on 23. So it was pretty close between all four of them. And this time there's more people on the ballot. We've got another 2 independents, the localists. Labour actually aren't standing this time, so they're out. Where does that Labour vote go? Well, the Greens are standing, so maybe there. Reform are standing, so maybe there. And the Tories also coming in this time as well. So more people on the ballot paper. Look, I said it's traditionally a Conservative stronghold territory. Obviously, it's become very much Reform territory. So I reckon Reform have a pretty good shot. But as you know, when you have these local parties and independents, that kind of makes it more difficult to judge. Look, clearly the independents were quite popular last time, as was this local party. But that hasn't stopped Reform in the past. So I reckon Reform have a pretty decent shot in North Kesteven. We've got Abingdon Abbey North Court, Vale of Whitehorse, Greens defending. Yeah, again, this is similar to Cotswolds, very much a Green versus Liberal Democrat, I think. Greens got 34.5 last time, and the Lib Dems got 40. So, like I say, this is one of these where at the full election, clearly two councillors were up for election. The Liberal Democrats won the most votes in total as a party. But when you crystallise it down to the individual councillor level, the Liberal Democrat would have got one of the Liberal Democrats would have got the most votes. The second most votes would have gone to the Green candidate, and so they beat the Liberal Democrats to the second seat. So it would be one Liberal Democrat, one Green. It's the Green who's left the post and is therefore a Green defence. But really, given the fact that the Liberal Democrats won the vote last time on the vote share, it's kind of like a nominal Liberal Democrat defence, really. So we would expect the Lib Dems to win based off of that past result. Will they win? Well, again, interesting. Let's see what Labour only got 10% last time. Again, does that vote go to the Green Party, or does it hold up? If the Greens can eat into that Labour 10% or 11%, then they have a very good chance of beating the Liberal Democrats. And again, let's see what happens to the Tories here. This is obviously Oxfordshire, isn't it? Vale of Whitehorse. So again, traditionally Conservative territory that's now very much Liberal Democrat territory, Oxfordshire. So let's see what happens to the Tories. They're already on a pretty miserly 14% anyway. Does that go even further down? And again, Reform standing, it's not a part of the country I would expect them to do very well in. But again, look, who knows? They're just a surprise package, aren't they, Reform, really? Lastly, for next week, we've got Penrith South up in Westmoreland and Furness, another Liberal Democrat defence. So they've got a few to defend next week, but they've got a pretty good track record of defending their seats, to be fair. So Westmoreland and Furness, Liberal Democrats got 44.7%, called it 48% of the vote last time out. Believe I'm right in saying this is Tim Farron, his neck of the woods. I'm pretty sure he's the MP for Westmoreland. Tim Farron, Liberal Democrat MP, former Liberal Democrat leader. So I would expect them again to successfully defend this. 4 people on the ballot again, as there was last time. No independent this time. It's going to be Reform instead, but still the Greens and the Tories there. Again, look, the Tories got 25% of the vote last time. Let's see what happens to that share. I imagine that this will stay Liberal Democrat, but I'm not sure. Again, if you've got any thoughts on any of those that we've covered there, please do let me know. Your insights are always much more interesting than mine. I kind of shoot from the hip here, to be honest with you. But yeah, your guys sort of insights from living locally mostly is very interesting. So do get in the comments and let me know what you think. And that is it for this week. So thank you very much for tuning in once again. We'll be back next week with these by-election roundups to get through. Now, I'm cognizant before I sign off that I have promised you a load of build-up videos towards the May 7th local elections. That is still the plan. I've been very lax in getting those videos out since the turn of the year. Frankly, I've just not had much time between childcaring things and just work, actually. Work has picked up a bit earlier this year than it normally does. So I have been a bit short on time. Those videos are much more time-consuming than these ones for me. So I will try and get back to those as soon as I can. So if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button so you don't miss all those. If you haven't already, please also hit the like button. It very much helps the channel when you do that. And as I've said already, please do very much get involved in the comments and let me know what you think. Everybody, thank you very much once again for tuning in, and I'll see you all next week.